So, I'm going to talk about three strategies that family members can use to be in the best headspace so they can best navigate conversation with their loved one who's still in addiction. When family members are in their best headspace, they have the very best opportunity to not be taken out, or manipulated or persuaded by addiction. And I am separating. One thing I like to do is to separate addiction from the essence of the person who has the addiction, and for family members to learn to do that. And you first have to do it in your thinking. And I'm not saying this is easy. I'm not saying you're just going to be like, just from hearing this you're going to be able to start. But what I'm saying is, when you can separate the personhood or the essence of your loved one from the actual addiction, and start in your thinking, and then bring in that separation in your communication with yourself first and then with your loved one, you have the very best chance to start to use the part of your brain that can best help you to make best decisions about what's going on. So three steps to the best headspace to communicate with your loved one who's still in addiction. Well, real quick, the three are: the first one is box breathing, the next one is mindfulness to increase awareness, and the next one is deliberately keeping positive, staying positive. So box breathing. What is box breathing? And so in the family addiction engagement training, in the training, I think this is session 2 or something. So I talk about box breathing. What it is slow, conscious, deep breaths into your belly. And so that's how we start. And we could practice right now. And I invite you to do this with me right now. So big inhale through your nose to the count of 4. So bring in air through your nose. Hold to the count of 4. And then release to the count of 4. So breathe out to the count of 4. Hold to the count of 4. And then inhale to the count of 4. And that's the box. 4, 4, 4, 4 kind of thing. And you practice that. What that does is, specifically when you breathe out slowly, this engages the parasympathetic nervous system, the part of the nervous system that is naturally going to slow the body down, slow the nervous system down, slow the, if a person's having rapid thoughts. So box breathing, it's a simple little technique. However, just because it's simple doesn't mean it's easy. It takes practice. The more you practice it over and over again, it's something that you can do focusing on your breathing and breathing deep is something you can do in conversation with someone who's, maybe getting all emotional or activated. Your staying with your breath is going to help you stay calm. Why do you want to stay calm? Calmest nervous system wins, and I know, and I didn't read this in a book. I've had my own experience of course, by being activated by other people. And, then when I, just respond right away with the first thing that comes to my mind, my own impulsive thinking, um, then I get into this back and forth, who's right, who's wrong, but you didn't hear what I said, you didn't understand my, intention, blah, blah, blah. So it's like my nervous system gets activated. So box breathing is a way for me to keep myself calm. I'm in control of my nervous system. When I'm not aware of what's going on inside my body, then I am less in control, or I can be kind of manipulated by someone else's nervous system. Think about it, practice it, try it. And, go to my website, thefamilyrecoverysolution.com, make an appointment with me. It's free. Let me know how that worked. Okay, second one here, mindfulness. What is mindfulness? Mindfulness to increase awareness. And when I say increase awareness, it's increase what you're thinking, what you're feeling. And so going back to the box breathing exercise with mindfulness, when you can kind of keep a steady, deep breathing, whether it's the 4-4-4-4 box breathing kind of thing, or it's just slowing your breathing down and being very conscious of your breathing, you become more aware of thoughts and feelings that arise. And your mind can get attached to the content of the thoughts. That's not the goal here. The goal here is to be aware that you're having a thought, and to, hold it lightly. I realize it may be insightful and a fascinating thought, or it may be a scary thought, and your brain goes into, oh my God, what do I do? How do I figure this out? Et cetera, et cetera. The part of mindfulness is just realize, oh, that's a thought, and then you put the focus of your attention back on the slow breathing. Again, that is going to engage the parasympathetic nervous system. And when you engage the parasympathetic nervous system, you slow yourself down. The majority of blood flow when the nervous system is activated goes to the limbic, the fire alarm kind of part of the brain. And when you slow the breathing down, the majority of blood flow goes to your cortex right behind the forehead, where an individual can do their best thinking and really, instead of just going with their first impulsive thought, they can go, well, okay, if I go with that thought, it may play out this way. And then there's this other perspective, this other thought. And if I go with that, it may play out that other way, So that's what we want to do. We want to slow ourselves down and be curious about our own thinking. So that's mindfulness to increase awareness. And then the third one here, deliberately keeping a positive mindset. And so here, the focus of our attention can be more on our thinking. Is our thinking like worst case scenario? Are we scared? And is our focus narrowly kind of contracted onto, oh my God, what's going to happen? So it's anxiety and all of that kind of thing. No, we don't want that. That's just going to spiral downwards. That's going to take us into a negative loop. We're going to get contracted. We generally do believe it. And I've done that myself, and I believe, oh my God, the sun's not going to come up tomorrow, et cetera, et cetera. So again, we go back to, we can slow ourselves down by slowing down our breathing. And when we do that, then our perspective can expand. And when it expands, we can realize if we're in a negative space that, oh, there's other possibilities here. And then we can go into a positive space. And so having our own positive kind of mantras or affirmations can be helpful for some people, and really deliberately kind of trying our best to stay focused on, getting ourselves out of the downward spiral. And there's this belief that I don't think is true, about venting. Like, we can go to our friend and just vent, and about this negative thing that's happening to us, and that's a way to get it out of our body or something like that, and that can be helpful. And I don't think that's true, because when we talk about our problems, it actually mentally rehearses these problems more concretely or firmly in our life, and I think there can be exceptions to that. If the person that you're talking to can be someone who can reframe negative thinking into going, hey, well, there's multiple ways to think about that. There's other options, and here's several of them, generally more than two, because our thinking will go to, well, we either have this choice or that choice. We polarize it, and one's good and the other's bad, kind of thing. And we see a lot of times no way out. So we want to come up with a third option, and we want to be able to talk to someone who can present multiple options. And when we do that, we have potential for positive possibilities. So those are the three strategies: box breathing, mindfulness to increase awareness, and then deliberately keeping a positive headspace. And when we practice those three tools or exercises, when we practice them over and over, we get better at just incorporating them into, this is how we do life. And it takes a while to practice, so I really want to encourage people to keep practicing. But once they've practiced for a while, and then they are in a better position to introduce new conversations to their loved one. Because if we're back at the activated nervous system and we only see two ways, we can go this way or that way, and then it's like new conversations probably aren't going to, well, they're going to deteriorate or spiral down into old conversations. And you, as the family member with the brain that is not impaired by addiction, it may, be impaired or manipulated by, living in a stressful environment and being triggered over and over with some chaos, or being super concerned about, your loved one's life and living. I get it. You're not doing anything wrong to be concerned. However, if that concern isn't really getting you traction, I want you to know that there are solutions for you to have practices to where you can be more solid and have more ideas in the face of addiction. And again, I'm separating addiction from the essence of your loved one. And I see that addiction has come into your loved one, and your loved one is the host for addiction. And addiction is manipulating their thinking. And your loved one probably believes it. And it's like that's what happens with addiction. In the early stages, it's like when someone can stop whatever the behavior is or substance or whatever, when they can stop, they don't want to. Well, I like the taste of beer, or they'll say something like that and believe that that's the whole story. So when they can stop, they don't want to. But then as this addiction, this slow progressive condition we call addiction, once it gets to more severe, when they want to stop, they can't stop. And it isn't because they don't want to. So I really want to encourage family members to have some education about this slow progressive process, mild addiction just when it's starting, moderate, and then severe. And generally family members try to handle this themselves by having direct conversations with their loved one. And when they do that, it's like they see their loved one has a problem. They may hear their loved one says, I can take care of it, but then they don't, or they do for a little while, and then their loved one kind of recedes back into, old patterns of, that enable addiction or are addiction, So I get that family members want to try to handle this themselves. And the program that I have at the familyrecoverysolution.com called Family Addiction Engagement Training is a program for family members to handle it themselves, but with education, with new education about addiction and what addiction does to how a family does family together before the addiction. Addiction manipulates how a family does family together. So it's addiction's rules of engagement kind of thing is running the family. To get out of that, family addiction engagement training, it's online education, ongoing group coaching. So initially you can ask questions about the education, what doesn't make sense, how does this apply to my family kind of thing. And then you decide what are the tools that are going to help you the most and start to integrate them into your own life and practice them. And then you come into these group coaching sessions and you're, kind of talking about, well, I tried this and I got this result. What could I do differently to get closer towards my goal? And so that is the way that family members can best utilize the group coaching process. And it's a whole lot less money than me working individually with a family. And of course, if a family wants to work individually with me, I have those packages. That's all laid out. It's laid out on a different website, but I can give you that information. So contact me. I'm happy to talk about individual coaching packages that fit your situation and group coaching packages that start with a group. And one of the things I have seen where people are the most apprehensive about a group is is like, this is private information. I have shame. I feel bad. I don't want to talk about it. I don't really want to say the extent of some of the challenging kind of stuff that has happened in my family, like the family that I grew up in, for instance. So I'm happy to have a conversation, answer any questions about these 3 skills, the box breathing, the mindfulness, or, you know, deliberately keeping a positive headspace, those focuses. Go to my website, thefamilyrecoverysolution.com. You can make an appointment there with me for free, and I hope we talk. Thank you.